Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and visitors. We thank y'all so much for being here. There must be something going on with all these people here, and for change, it's something really, really good. I do want to announce this is Meadows Place City Council regular meeting. That is Tuesday, November 28th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. at Meadows Place City Hall, 1 Troy Drive, Meadows Place. Item A is called to order and announce a quorum is present with all council being present. And we're going to move on to, is Jimmy here? Okay, David? You? Okay. We will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and it's going to be led by the Meadows Elementary National Honor Society, and then remain standing for the invocation. Honor Society, if you'll get us started, we'll join you, okay?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wait, remain standing for the invocation. David, before we start, could I get the National Honor Society to say the pledge to the Texas flag? Because I know y'all need it. Y'all know it. So listen up for those of us that don't. Go ahead. Thank you very much. Now, stand up. David, you're on for invocation.
Lord, we just thank you that we can gather here tonight. We have the freedom to do that. And we just thank you for the country that we live in, for the city that we live in. Lord, we thank you for these children who came tonight to lead the pledge. Lord, we just thank you that patriotism is still something that we can honor and enjoy. Lord, we ask that you watch over us tonight. Give us wisdom to make decisions. Lord, I just ask that you watch over the people in this city, our first responders, all of our staff, and the council tonight, Lord. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Oh my. All right, we have a very special event tonight, and that is to announce and recognize the Meadows Elementary National Honor Society. I'm going to call your names. I'm going to ask you to come up and stand up there in the front facing the audience. But before, when you come up, grab a pen out of this little bucket, okay? And that's your pen to keep, so you can keep writing good stuff for years to come. We also happen to have the Meadows Place Teacher of the Year here visiting, I believe. Do we not? Yeah. Oh, well, stand up. Thank you. Miss Aubrey St. Germain is here. I don't know why you're here. Oh, yeah, maybe I do. Oh, yeah, maybe I do. I also learned that you blush fairly easily. So we are thrilled to have you here. Thank you very much. I'm going to announce the recipients of the Meadows Elementary National Honor Society, and I apologize ahead of time. I can't even say my name most of the time, much less new ones. Alexander Little Ayala, Scarlett Skimp, Charlotte St. Germain, Caleb Quick, Benjamin Tree, Lorenzo Gashke, Declan Merkley, Brinley, Kopczynski, Abigail Romero, Gregory Ng, Yasinel Hernandez. Did I leave anybody out? No. I did. Who? Oh, Ava Frame. Thank you. Anybody else? Oh, Baker? Say it.
Jacob Ibarra.
I don't have it down. Well, Jacob, thank you very much for not throwing rocks at me. I didn't have your name on the list, and I apologize for that. This is the future of this city. This is a wonderful, wonderful thing to have recognized, I believe, by this city council that's up here, who loves these kids in that school as much as the parents do. So we thank you very much. Let's give these kids a great big round of applause for the Meadows Elementary National Honor Society. And did we have a teacher or anyone want to speak? Yes, I do.
You have to come over here to the podium.
I just want to thank the City Council for allowing us to have the honor to lead the pledge today. It's an honor for these students to be able to see our city in action. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
Also, for those of you that don't know, we are having a food and blanket drive. So if you have not sent your child with some canned goods or a blanket, they are benefiting the Emily's Pantry, which is across from Dulles High School, and the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So if you have not helped support us, please do. You can drop it off here or at the school.
Once again, Meadows Elementary National Honor Society. And any parents that want to jump up real quick and get a picture with your kid, please do, but we're going to have to move on, okay? And so thank you all very, very much. Children, tomorrow I want y'all to go to school, or y'all are out of school, huh? No, you're back in. Oh, good. Go back to school, study hard, and tell your friends that y'all were up here leading the way for this city. Thank y'all very much. And get a pen. Okay, council, we're going to give just a minute for them to clear out. I think it's... Ready to go. Item B, reports. First up, as usual, is our police chief, Gary Stewart, and the police department report.
Morning, Mayor, Council, evening. As always, we start out with our number of accidents. We had 9 in the reportable month period. We also had 13 arrests. Calls for service was 2101. We had 52 reports. Citations, 351 with 689 charges. City ordinance violation citations issued was 0. Traffic warnings, 181 with 226 charges. The warnings for city ordinance violation were 2. Total activity count was 3,092. This past month, we had 6 assaults. We had 3 BMVs, 0 burglary of business, 0 burglary of residence, 2 city ordinance previously mentioned, 1 criminal mischief, 2 frauds, 0 robberies. Our property checks was 2,101. Theft was 5. UUMV 2. TLC program, we had 53 pass with 28 failures, total 81 contacts for that. It gets better each time. This reporting period for the breakdowns on those city ordinance, you can see there was 2 junk abandoned vehicles that we had to address. Moving on to the chief's notes, next page. There's a couple big items I need to discuss. First one, under the assaults, we had a incident. I'm going to go the second one down. I mean, you see the fist fights. You can see all the assaults there. But the 2 that are standing out, I want to go over a little bit. As many of y'all may know, that we had some shots fired in the city. And so this was a result of a robbery that occurred in Sugar Land. The suspect vehicle was chased by the victim as they entered to the city somewhere around Scottsdale and Oxford Glen. The suspects got out and fired several rounds at the victim. We did have 2 houses that were struck out of numerous rounds, so this charges that were previously deadly conduct, we have upgraded to attempted murder. We do have an open investigation status. We're working with HPD and Sugar Land, who were also affected by this crime as it came through our city. They were probably in our city for about, what we could figure, about less than 2 minutes. We are working with them to identify these shooters. When I say they, I'm talking about Sugar Land HPD, who also have cases that we're working with. And so if you have any more questions about that, I can limit it to what I can tell you is an open investigation. The second one of note is on page 2, another assault that occurred over the holiday weekend. Was a sexual assault of a child. It was a juvenile victim, so we won't be mentioning any names in that, and we won't see any. That was accosted by a male subject that was delivering packages. So again, on that, we processed it that night. We came out immediately to the scene. Our detectives took the victim and followed protocol where we take them for a sexual assault examination by a sane nurse. Then we line up what's at this Child's Advocacy Center, a forensics interview, which we've done. And we also started developing and gathering all the information and data on the suspect, which we've already done. So we're moving forward with that, and that is still an open investigation, and I can't really disclose much more on that. Moving forward, most of the, let's go to page 7. We'll go over Flock. We had a total of 51 hits on Flock cameras. 22 of those were for stolen vehicle alerts. We had 4 for sex offender alerts, 11 for stolen plate, 2 for gang or terrorist alerts, 0 for missing person, 0 for warrant, 3 protective orders, and 9 from other agency hot lists. Our arrests were 13, were down 8 from the previous month. We had 3 for warrant other jurisdiction, 1 DWI, 5 for assault, 1 for theft, 1 for possession of controlled substance, 1 terroristic threat and assault for 1 count, and 1 count for tampering with government document and DWLI, driving license and ballot. Moving on to the additional notes on page 11. I'm sure Colleen, I don't want to steal anything from her. I see she's up next. But we are preparing and have our IAP ready. I'll be reviewing it again tomorrow just to make sure there's no details left out for our Christmas Memories Friday. I'd also like to announce the promotion. We had a promotion recently. Officer Solomon Manna is now Sergeant Solomon Manna. He began his new tour of duty at the beginning of this month and has some additional training to attend, and has begun his transition to his new role and is doing really well. Also, Officer Florian was promoted to Senior Officer Florian. Again, he started this month in his new position and as a senior police officer. And we have one here tonight, Officer Melisson. They fill in when there's not a sergeant available. They are the senior officer on duty that will assume those responsibilities. Training center is in full swing. We have multiple trainings going on. Again, we use a lot of agencies. This allows us to host classes at little to no cost to us, but have those classes held here in our city. So we're holding several again this next month. Mesa, I know we're working on a quote. They've completed the building, but the quote for the bridge access gate, we're still waiting on, I think, a little bit of details. Or, do we have that yet? Okay, you got it. All right. And then our grant status. Radio recorder grant was approved at $52,000. The recorder has been ordered. Our dispatch console, the $197,000. We're doing a follow-up meeting for an on-site assessment on December 5th. And the actual grant is in revision. Portable radio 10, our grant order has been placed. And we're currently seeking a $250,000 grant for our in-car camera and body camera updates. And that's my report this month.
Thank you, Chief. Council, anybody have any questions? Okay, well, I'm going to ask you to review with me the dispatch console grant. I know it says here you're following up a meeting on an on-site assessment. I'm assuming that's here.
Yes.
On December 5th. Is that to find out an answer to a specific question, or is this just part of the process?
No, we have some specific issues since we're not a PSAP, and some different things that go on with our console that we need to make sure that we can integrate with Harris County, who controls all this. They're over all of it. So we just they're going to do an assessment to see that if we can mitigate some of the issues that we have.
I didn't recognize the fact that we were tied into had to tie into Harris.
Everybody is.
Okay, that's just part of everybody has.
Everybody is tied to them.
That's what I had.
There's Rick over there. See Rick shaking his head over there. He knows.
Yeah. That's because the county does in all aspects as well. Okay, well, Chief, that's it for me. I appreciate it. I know.
Yes, sir.
I know your folks have been busy. Congratulations on the new sergeant and senior officer. I know those filled slots that need to be filled, and congratulations on getting those training classes in there and up and running.
Yes, sir.
Y'all do good at that, by the way. That's it. That's it. We will move on to item B, or item 2 in reports, and that's our Parks and Recreation Department.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Council and Mayor. This report will serve a period of September through November. First, I would like to do an event recap of our Fall Festival that was back on October 14th. We had approximately 800 participants at that event. It was probably, to date, our largest Fall Festival that we have had. We had a Stein contest with 75 kids participating and 15 adults. We had 20 home and garden craft booths, 2 community partners, the Vessel and the pediatric dentist, 8 food vendors, carnival rides, inflates, and petting zoo. And I wanted to say a great shout out to PD for their support at that event. As always, we can't do it without them. So we thank them for being out there and keeping us all safe. Our other event that we had was the Children's Garden Pumpkin Patch that's held at the Nature Center. This was their second year to do that. They hosted it on 3 Saturdays. They had 6 volunteers that helped support that event.
They sold 74 pumpkins and collected $584. And that goes towards the children's garden, the seeds and the planting and the different crafts that they do throughout the year with that group. So I would say it was quite a success for them. Moving on, projects that we completed was our new sensory park. That is the one that's located between the Helfman Park and the school pavilion area. That was funded by EDC and general fund dollars. We also completed Well 2 landscaping. That was funded by the EDC. The field house was painted, EDC funding. Foundation repairs were done on both the community center and the nature center. That came from general funds. We had our animal well check. This is something we do annually at our nature center. We bring in ABC Animal Clinic. They come in, they check out each of our animals there. They tell us the nature of their health, improvements that we can make, and just general good advice that they provide for us. So we did that. We also installed the street boulders with the street names at the roundabouts on Kirkwood. If you haven't seen them yet, they are there in place. We're still experimenting with the lighting on the front of them. I drove through there tonight. It looks like we need to get some brighter lights, so we'll be working on that. But the boulders are in place if you haven't seen those yet. My staff also has completed all of the Christmas decorating of the city. The tree is up, the facilities are lit, the fence lines are also illuminated, and then we will have the annual tree lighting, of course, on Friday night. And then we also met with Meadows Place Pony Baseball to discuss the possibility of a batting cage that they are looking at raising funds to donate that to the city. So conversations have begun with that. They will be coming to you guys in January at the council meeting to discuss that further and to get blessings from you guys and or discussions as far as how we're going to move forward with that. Upcoming projects. These are things that we'll be doing in the next 3 months. We are looking at creating a memorial dedication program, and that's if a citizen wants to dedicate in memory of someone a bench or a tree donation. And so these will be guidelines and parameters of how we would do that, what the process would look like, what the fee structure would be. So we will be bringing that back before council for blessings, and obviously if there's a fee structure that would require the fee ordinance to be updated at that point as well. We are also looking at new rental options for the community center for long-term rentals, doing it on a half-day basis. We have, over time, we've had different user groups that have come and they're looking for year-long rentals every Sunday. And it can become costly if they're doing it every Sunday at a full day rate. So we're looking at half-day rates, and I will also be bringing that to council in January for further discussion. We're also looking at self-service kayak rental kiosk. I know that's a mouthful. But there are groups out there that provide, it looks almost like an Amazon storage closet, and they provide the kayaks, they provide the whole process of an individual coming, renting a kayak, pulling it out, utilizing it in the lake, returning it. They run the whole process, and then the city would get a percentage from that. We're just inquiring right now. Sugarland actually has one in their park. So does League City. There's a couple around that are utilizing that. Something that we might look at. The tennis court access conversion, we are also trying to get that streamlined through Mesa, working with PD and through our finance department to make that a better system as far as utilizing the swipe cards, and then also being able to, currently our system, we have to go out on site to update it annually and literally stand there with a laptop going through 100, 500 names. This we can do from our office. It's a lot more streamlined, convenient. So we are working with Mesa and PD to improve that process. And I believe actually Jack told me that they'll begin that this Friday. So we'll be getting in touch with all of the tennis pass holders, updating them as far as any user entries and what needs to change as far as getting that in place. We're also looking at adding a pool reception desk. Currently, when the pool is open, we have a portable table set up out there. It tends to bottleneck. It just doesn't look professional, so we are looking at installing a nice built-in area there that should accommodate the flow of traffic better and also fit in with the structure of the building. Yes, sir.
I know where the temporary table goes. Where are you thinking about putting the permanent desk?
Also in the same general area. I can show you a map tomorrow a little bit so you'll understand. We will also be getting quotes on replacement of the fence line of Dorrance and Pender. The fencing there is in bad shape, and we have discussed replacing portions of it versus all of it at one time. So we're looking at the cost options on that, and that's funding supported by EDC that we will be utilizing. So we should probably begin that in February. And then also, we are going to be doing some extensive work on the trail around the lake. We've been doing patches for about the last 2 years, bringing in DG, fluffing it, but this year is our year to actually get out there and really add a lot more depth and redefine that trail area with the DG and fill in some of the lower spots. So that'll begin also probably January, February timeframe when we don't have events going on out there. Upcoming events, well, I have one big one. That's this Friday, and that is Christmas Memories. And again, this event is sponsored by our general fund and EDC. So we are happy to be partnering with them. Meadows Elementary Choir will also be out there this year performing for us. We haven't had them for a couple of years, so we're excited that they'll be back. The National Honor Society will also be present out there collecting donations for canned goods and blankets. Virtue Tattoo will have a booth out there as well, or a box out there for collecting toys for tots. Meadows Marlins will be selling popcorn and cotton candy, and then Meadows Place Home and Garden will be doing hot chocolate. So I just mentioned these partners because these are those that are in our community that are actually participating to help really make this a community-wide event. We'll also have an additional 8 food vendors, 12 inflates, petting zoo, live band, illuminated dance floor, Santa Claus, just to name a few things. So, and snow. At this point, we are hoping and praying that the weather holds. Doesn't look great at the moment, but you just never know. It could hold off, but good thoughts. And that concludes my report.
That confidence in you in correcting the weather. I would like to touch base on one thing before I ask council their comments. I've kind of followed this tennis court business a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Where do we stand on that as far as being able to give it a test run and see if it really works? I mean,
it hasn't been installed as of yet, so that begins on Friday. Mesa will be out there to begin putting that in place, and I believe it takes 2 days, Jack, or a couple days to get that in.
In the next middle to next week.
okay.
Yeah, and Mayor, it shouldn't disrupt any of our current users out there. They'll still be able to gain access in and out, but once we switch it over, they will already be in place, so it should be a smooth transition for them.
So if I understand the process, they'll be able to operate right out there. When their cards expire, they'll be able to go online and just re-up their card. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. They should be able to go online and pay for the new fee. If they don't, then obviously the card locks them out. They won't be able to gain access again until they pay the new fee.
It sounds to me like it'll be, and if I'm reading this right, correct me if I'm wrong, but it should be a whole lot easier for our residents and users, and a heck of a lot easier on our staff to keep that thing flowing smoothly. Am I seeing that correctly?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Well, good. By the way, the rocks look great. I went by there last night, and the one on Brighton, the light looked great. So I don't know what's different on that one than the others. That's a fantastic one. I'm going to spend 1 second in public declaring the Sensory Park a success.
Thank you.
I got grandkids as living proof on that. But to see kids come into that park and just instinctively understand what it's for. Nobody has to tell them. And they're all over it. There was a family playing. They lived over on Meadowdale. But they had kinfolk over here from Sugar Land. And I found out they come on a regular basis to that park, the people from Sugar Land do. And the girl was in 7th grade, and her sibling was 4-ish. And it was quite satisfying to talk with her, because she looked around at the whole park over there and said, and this park is so big, and it has something for everybody, and it's just wonderful. This is out of the mouth of a 7th grader, so you're seeing it from her eyes. And I just want to say, I don't know that I've ever felt prouder of our park system than I did right there, having somebody come in. So congratulations on that. Again, that's why I'm not in the park business. I thought that sensory thing was going to be just silly, and it's a home run. And boy, I'll tell you, it is a home run. So thank you very much for doing that for the city. It's really added a great deal of value to the city as far as I'm concerned. Council, anybody have anything for Colleen?
I was going to echo the sentiment on the Sensory Park. Grandkids here last week, multiple trips to the park. The comment that affected me the most, though, was from my daughter, who's lived in a planned community that has a really high HOA, spends a ton of money on parks and all the activities. Her kids loved our park. It truly, that's all they could talk about is going back there, particularly the sensory part, which was new for them. It was such an endorsement to hear them, who they go from 3 to 7, enjoying it. And as you said, it doesn't take a lot of instruction. And when they're ready to do physical stuff, there's more than enough swings, other equipment. The redoing of the AstroTurf and the inside of the park, particularly this time of year when it gets kind of rainy and a little bit muggy, it was great. So I can't say enough about how wonderful the park has turned out, and you and your team have done a great job. The other thing is, I notice that every time I come into Meadows now, the landscaping at Well 2 is great. Thank you for just not replanting the fence line and actually doing landscaping. It looks great. So thank you for taking care of that for your team and helping beautify the city.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Real quick on the tennis courts, when you do contact the folks who have key cards, maybe a good idea to remind them what the maximum amount of visitors can join them. There's been some times where people have brought up to a dozen non-residents with their one card, and it kind of bottlenecks the courts a bit.
Okay. Duly noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have one thing. Very popular tonight. One is the rainbow trout stocking. I know last year at the last minute we could not do it because of the heat, and I do see on here to call a couple of days before, or when do we?
Well, we were actually speaking with Texas Parks and Wildlife today. There was actually a little bit of confusion on their website. They had posted that it was going to be stocked yesterday, right, Cameron? Oh, today. So that was an error on their part. They posted it would be stocked today. There are a lot of people that follow their website in particular, so we did have some fishermen show up, and they were asking us where are the trout. But we did confirm the delivery date is December 12th. We tell the public the week of the 11th because some things do happen sometimes on the delivery side. But right now it's scheduled to come on the 12th. It's coming from the valley. That's unusual. Usually it's within a 2-hour drive, but these fish are coming from the valley, so I think they will know when they're on their way. And then that way we can get the school involved to come out there as well. But We've had some really good, cool weather, and that does affect if they're able to put the trout in there or not, because obviously we don't want them to die if the water's too warm. But we've had very cool temperatures that have helped lower the temperature of the water. So we're on schedule for the 12th as of now.
Perfect. I will put it down. The only other thing is my daughter is very excited about Friday. She said it's her favorite event of the year, and I asked her why for the other events, and she said just the snow. She said it's just like all the other events with the snow. So
excellent.
A lot of very happy kids.
Well, we'll have 20,000 pounds of snow, so plenty for her.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Regarding the kayaks, I like the idea, but I'd like to know from other cities if they've done anything for any signs about at your own risk or anything like that.
Absolutely.
Just so that we know what we should be doing to protect the city.
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot to look into at that. I just wanted to let y'all know that is something that we are going to investigate, see if it's something that fits for our city, and if we want to do that. But it was an interesting option that was posed to us.
I just want to say how nice the parks and everything look with all the decorations. I was up there the 11th closing up, and the concession stand was amazing. I had to post a video of it. It looks so pretty.
I'll let my staff know. They worked hard on that. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Oh, they missed all my smart comments? Good. It's time for the fire report. Basically, we have an ongoing relationship with Stafford Fire Department and Fort Bend EDC, and they covered our city once again. They worked with our PD when necessary and did a good job. We had 29 medical assists this last month with the EMS crews. We had 6 EMS calls excluding accident with vehicle. We had 6 that were dispatched and canceled with routes that are en route. And then there were a couple of false alarms, unintentional transmission of alarms, but animal rescue, public service assistance, etc., leading up to a total of 54 incidents here in the city of Meadows Place. Again, and I don't see anything in here, Rod, about fire trucks knocking over any doors or anything like that, so we're okay. But we do count on the fire department a lot. We depend on them, and they do a good job for us. And I want to say publicly thank you very much to fire and EMS for living and working here in our city. And with that, I will conclude with the fire department report and move it over to the city administrator's report. Nick?
Thank you, Mayor. I've got only one item to mention tonight, but I think it's an important one. I've put in front of you a colorful bar chart. You might see it there. And what this is a visual aid to help describe a point that I'd like to make tonight. As you know, in the life of a city, from time to time, staff will bring you budget amendments. And those budget amendments are obviously meant to reflect expenditures that, in many cases, we didn't plan for or didn't foresee. In fact, we have one tonight dealing with irrigation. But I want to emphasize with you that throughout the course of this budget year, staff is going to deliberately try to minimize as many budget amendments as possible. And this chart, I think, is a good visual representation as to why. We've talked a lot about what we've done over the last year with trying to have a minimum fund balance both in our utility and in our general fund accounts. And as you might remember, we did a resolution where we said we wanted to have at least 7 months in the general fund and at least 10 months in the utility. If you look at the bar chart up top, this shows you basically a snapshot of funding at this time or cash on hand at this time. You'll notice that on the city side, even though there's a total of about 6.4, we have about $3,061,000 of that right now reserved or restricted for certain projects. Now, I didn't want to get into itemizing out all the projects on this one because that's not the point, but this really is just to show you sort of where we stand right now. Now, obviously, this would assume that every dollar that we have restricted for committed projects would go out the door today, which we know is not the case. But again, this is just an exercise to show you where we stand financially. So in order to have that 7-month reserve on the city side, we'd need $3.8 million, 3.887 unrestricted. Right now, we actually have only about 3.4, which means that if every dollar that we have committed right now went out the door, then we'd be about $431,000 short of meeting our 7 months. Similar story over on the utility side with that 1.78 in committed funds that we know we're going to spend at some point. That leaves about 779 unrestricted, and that leaves us short of our 10-month goal by about 817,000. Okay, are y'all tracking with that? Again, not completely fair because we know we're not going to write a check for the entire amount today, and there is a cash flow over time that'll change those numbers. But I want this to be a visual representation to you of why we're not encouraging budget amendments throughout the rest of this budget year. As an example, there was a need that we brought up not long ago to do some repaving of some parking spaces along Brighton Lane near the park. The initial thought was, well, shoot, let's just bring a budget amendment to council, see if they'll approve the funding, and we'll go get it done. After looking at this sheet here and really kind of talking about what this looks like, we rethought it, and we actually decided to go to EDC instead and see if EDC would be amenable to funding it, and they did, And so this is a good reason why we're doing that. Now, I know there's a bit of irony in it because in a couple of items later tonight, we are going to ask for a little bit of money as a budget amendment. But as we move forward through the budget year, I'd like for this to kind of be in the back of our minds to kind of think about where we are financially. There's always requests. There's always things we want to do that maybe don't fit into the budget. And this is something I think that would come in handy when we start thinking about those things. It's an unusual time in the life of the city in the sense that we've got a very, very large capital project that we're trying to fund. And so this kind of shows you where we are financially. Not meant to scare you, not meant to throw any red flags up. It's just the reality of sort of where we are right now. So just wanted to share that with you, give you an idea of sort of where we are. And certainly if you have any questions or anything like that, we're here to discuss.
Nick, I appreciate this. Nick, I appreciate this a lot, and it's on our mind, probably not as far back as it ought to be, but we do have a cash flow situation that will impact both sides of this bar chart. And if it's on our mind to not just automatically approve amendment requests, then we'll all be a lot better off. And I think the example that you used with going to EDC was a good one for the parking lots that took place over there at the Brighton cul-de-sac. So I appreciate it. Council, you got any comments on this? Or?
Well, just one comment. Nick did mention cash flow. I want to remind this is pretty much the lowest month that the city will have, because we will start replenishing in December and January as property taxes come in. So I think by the end of January, on the general fund side, we'll be back at our normal reserve amount. Utility side's still going to lag behind that just because of the expenses we've had with this drought and everything else we're doing.
The other comment I'd have is to give us a snapshot on either on a regular basis or do a trend look at past and look at projected. To Rick's point, look at projected cash flow of what we anticipate based on previous years, and that way, when we have to make a hard decision, it's a little easier to say, all right, we could postpone or we could eliminate instead of just one at a time. So I think it's a really good tool to have, though. Thank you for doing it.
think it's 1.5 or 1.7 we expect in property taxes over the next 2.5 months. Yep.
All right, thank you very much, Nick. I appreciate it, and I know that you worked with Anna Maria to put these figures together, and she's not here, but if you're watching, Anna Maria, thank you. Item C moves on to mayor, council, and comments. Item A is staff appreciation. Courtney and staff have put together a luncheon that'll take place on December 31st or 21st, and it's an annual employee appreciation luncheon. Well, one luncheon cannot express how grateful I am for this staff. I talk to folks in other cities all the time. And I just kind of have to sit down there and smile someplace. There's sometimes that the issues that I hear about that I don't have to deal with. And I thank our staff for that. The extra effort they all put in and the life and energy and expertise that they expend here on a day-to-day basis is just, it's a nice thing to see. And as a resident as well as somebody on this council, I really do appreciate them. And I want to publicly thank Courtney, all the staff members here tonight, and if you would, department heads, share our thanks with your employees, I would really, really appreciate it because I think they're fantastic, and I just want to say thank you. Item B, you heard a little bit about it, and I would just want to touch base on drought-affected roads. It affected us in the utility department, busted water pipes, roads. You've seen slabs 5 inches, 6 inches drop in this city. I've been around long enough to see 2011. And this, I believe, is worse than 2011 overall. All across South Texas, the road damage has been real, and it's been unbelievable. And every city that we talk to is dealing with it. And some of the actions that we're talking about dealing with now, frankly, are going to take years and millions of dollars to recover from. There's no way around it. We don't have a mountain of money and unlimited manpower, but we're doing a good job overall. I just want everybody to know that we are working on it. If you have any questions, any concerns, get in touch with Public Works on the roads or your council members because we got a list. I've seen the list. Matter of fact, there's a copy of the list on my desk right now of repairs that Rod has noticed, and he kind of triages them as they go, and they're never as fast as we want them to be. They just can't be. I'm sorry, but if there is one that is a problem area, make sure to let us know. Tell your neighbors. Let us know. Send text or send an email to Rod or to Courtney up here at City Hall to get it on the list and get it brought to our attention. We may be overlooking at it, and we don't want to do that. But I do want you to know that it is going to take years and millions and millions of dollars to recover from this last year. That's all I got to say about that. Item 2 on council is council comments, and A is Fort Bend Mobility Project. Rick?
Well, I am happy to say we did get a submission from the engineers.
What?
We did get the submission just before Thanksgiving. I reviewed it over the Thanksgiving holiday, provided them comments. There was nothing on there that to me was critical enough to hold. And so we instructed them to submit to Centerpoint, City of Stafford, and Drainage District to get their official reviews. Hopefully that'll be the last review from each of those agencies. We'll have to see, make sure everything goes well. Centerpoint's obviously the one I'm worried about the most, because they could make us change things substantially because we're on their land. Charlie asked me when we might go to bid. I said, I can't tell you when we'll get comments back from Centerpoint, so I'm not going to put a schedule out there at this point in time.
Yeah, but the chief knows Lynette now, so maybe we can make a phone call.
Yep. Minor comments on the bridge, a little bit of signing, stuff like that. Like I said, not too critical on the comments. If anybody on council wants to look at a set of plans, I can send you the link. They are construction plans, so it's 2D representation. There are not a bunch of pretty pictures.
Rick, thank you very much. And I want to take this opportunity to once again thank Rick Stagley. He saves us so much. You heard him say, I reviewed them over Thanksgiving weekend. We didn't have to pay an engineering company overtime and a bunch of staff people. He just sat there and gnawed on turkey and looked at it. And I don't know how to say thank you enough, Rick. I mean, I just don't have the adjective. My heart says I need to say more. And so please take that from me, because I've worked with you for years. And council, we need to acknowledge that we have a very special council member here. So, Rick, thank you very, very much. And with that, unless that's it, item D. Who do I need to call at Centerpoint? Okay, well, tell me when it is. I'll call. Item D, regular agenda. Item 1 is discussion and consideration regarding Resolution 2023-26, casting the city's vote for candidates for the Fort Bend County Central Appraisal District Board of Directors. Council, I hope everybody's looked this over. It's a little bit convoluted, but we have there's 5 candidate positions. You have in your packet the 5 candidates. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candidates. Is that right? Or you got 6? 5. We have 7 votes. I know most of these candidates, and I'm going to recommend that we throw all 7 votes behind Jim Rice, like it's going to make a big difference. If somebody wants to do it another way, council, that's up to y'all.
I will move to give our votes, 7 votes to Jim Rice.
Motion by Rick, second by David.
This is all just a...
Yep.
You know, it's 5 candidates, 5 positions. It doesn't matter.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously.
And God bless these people, because who would want to be on the Central Appraisal District Board?
Oh,
no.
Not me. You're right about that. Item 2 is discussion and consideration regarding Resolution 2023-27, authorizing the mayor and city secretary to execute an agreement with Grancius for social media extreme renewal for our Facebook live stream of city council meetings. Waive everybody through December 26th. Basically, I'm looking for a motion to approve the renewal.
Move to approve.
Have a motion?
Second, or whatever.
Okay, motion by Kurt, second by Tia. Any further discussion?
When we started this, we talked about tracking the number of viewers. Have we been doing that?
If you look in your packet, Cameron did give us a printout of how many views we've got on each meeting.
That's actually better than I expected. 600 views, 200 views, 300 views?
Yes,
okay.
Me too. All right. So with that, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. I will share your comments on that, Rick. It was a little better than I thought it would be, too. Okay, here we have an item we need to pay attention to. Discussion and consideration of resolution number 2023-28, authorizing the mayor and city secretary to execute an agreement with Texas Lawn Works for maintenance of the city's irrigation system in the amount of $28,000, up above $40,320. And Nick, you want to explain this?
Yeah, this is the item I was hinting at earlier. So as you know, irrigation continues to be a work in progress in town, and so this to staff is the logical next step in upping our game on irrigation. What this will buy us essentially is a once-a-week schedule. Rod has been working with Texas Lawn to create a revised workflow for irrigation maintenance that, yes, is a little more expensive, but also obviously puts more energy and effort into the maintenance. So, Rod, do you have anything specifically that I need to mention about the?
Just the number.
Okay. If you look at the backup and you look at the write-up, I know that we went back and forth with them for a little bit, so we could be more specific about when they're supposed to make repairs, the time frame within which they're supposed to make it once they find things that are broken. But more than anything, given our experience in trying to get ahead of irrigation, we're noticing that what we're doing needs to be upped a little bit. And this is a good middle ground between doing what we've been doing and going full bore and trying to do a sealed competitive bid for irrigation services, which quite frankly we could do, but we're not real thrilled about doing at this time. So we want to give this a shot, see if it improves the irrigation system. We know that this past year was unusual in terms of drought, but still in all, we think this will be an improvement.
It was brutal. I would like to ask Park's opinion. Would you like to see us up our game in irrigation a little bit? Oh, okay. Just double checking.
Well, Charlie, as much as you and I hate spending money on this, I think all you need to do is look at the few houses that did not irrigate during the summer, where their entire yard is dead, and that's what our medians and such would look like, and our parks would look like if we didn't have the irrigation.
So is that a motion to approve resolution 2023-28?
I thought we had motions already.
No.
Oh, have we? No, we haven't.
Okay. Sure, I'll move.
Okay. Motion by Rick. I have a second by Kurt.
Yeah, and little discussion. Do we need it every single week, or could we, since we're doing once a month, would once every 2 weeks suffice?
In the wintertime, we will.
In the summer.
But in the wintertime, it'll drop back. But in the summertime, once a week. And I would have to say, by the heartburn that I have all through the summer and the problems that we have chasing those down, I'd say, yes, we need to get them out there.
And Colleen, what do you think?
Yeah, currently they were providing it once a month, and there was a huge gap from the reporting of when they would go out and look at it and check it to when we would get the report. It would be a month to 6 weeks later. So then we wouldn't be able to fix it till now we're into week 8. Well, at that point, things are dead and dying. So having a reporting method, and when they're out there checking it on a weekly basis, especially during the hot season, they're able to identify the issue, repair it, and then get us back up and going again. So it sounds like a lot, but it's really not, because there's a lot that can happen in a week's time. Mowers hit sprinkler systems. I mean, the ground shifts, it breaks, and we're losing time if we're only doing it twice a month or once a month. So what we did was put it on the cycle of our mowing cycle, which is, I believe, 42 times a year, Rod? 42 times a year. So instead of 56, it's 42 times. So we are saving in that regard and doing it in consistently with our mowing cycle. But that does provide coverage during the months that we have the most difficulties and the most breaks with irrigation. So it is advisable to do it weekly.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Go ahead. A motion by Rick, second by Kurt. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. That takes us to item 4, discussion and consideration of ordinance 2023-39, amending the general fund budget, as we just talked about, for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024, increasing the line item 100,040,566,000, sprinkler maintenance, $28,800 from the general fund for maintenance of the city's irrigation system. And again, Nick, you want to explain that one?
Yeah, this is the BA that goes to the previous item. We obviously already have some money budgeted, so we're not asking for the full 4320. The delta we need is that that 28.8 in order to get us to the amount to be able to fund what we just approved.
So we've got 11,520 budgeted. We're throwing 28.8
Another
in
28.8 to get to the full amount, and it's obviously living inside that irrigation line item.
Right.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by David. Do I have a second?
I have a second discussion. So if we are doing this, are they going to fix all of our issues? So moving forward, because I know we've been dealing with this for years and years, going with this contract, we'll be good to go, and then they will, on a weekly in the summer and by month, a couple of times a week afterwards, come out and check on us, and we're all good.
So that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's what I was going to ask.
But yes.
But it's my understanding that they will identify.
They will identify the issues. Again, currently what we're dealing with, they'll identify something. We won't know about it for 6 to 8 weeks. Then we approve the repair. Or in the meantime, we had planted some landscaping and we're wondering why it's dying. So this should help with the issue. And I wanted to go back to the comment that Kurt had made. He was a little bit concerned about doing it so often. If this is something that we get in place and we're doing it weekly and we see, okay, this is effective, we can always look at reducing it later on if we need to. But I think that this is a necessary start to get us where we need to be.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. And yeah, Rick, you're right. This is the one that kind of galls me.
We all feel the same way about this.
Now we get to an interesting one. Discussion, consideration, establishing a special fee entitled Utility Infrastructure Fee and Special Fund for the purpose of rehabilitation and construction of present and future public water and sewer utilities in the city. As you know, and this is why we have Lawyer Daggett down here. I'm sorry, Grady Randall. Yeah. Well, we need to get him a real chair. But before he gets started, I know I am, and there are other council members that are up here that would like to identify this as a special fund so that people can look and know exactly what the heck they're putting their money for. We're going to go out and ask them for $10 a month or some figure. Right now it's at $10 a month, and I want them to go and be able to identify right away what it is. And so I'm going to now ask our legal guidance counselor to give us some instruction and input. Grady?
Okay. Thank you for inviting me out. Glad to be here. Did y'all see this in the newspaper?
Yes, I read that.
Woodlands Church sues over $83,000 holy water tax. MUD labels it a fee. This is why I'm cautious. Stuff like this. You don't want to unnecessarily take risk or invite a lawsuit, but I found a way. So I think we can lead you through the Red Sea on this. And
all right, Lawyer Daggett.
Okay. So, Nick, this is good for my little lecture tonight. And it shows that your utility fee is a little bit, pardon the pun, underwater. By nearly 5 months. I'm at the Rainbow Room all week. So the utility fund is an enterprise fund. Is that right?
Yes.
And just on water or wastewater? Both? Okay. So, and I'm going to talk about road fees a little bit too, just to compare it to this fee, while being on the agenda. So you sent an ordinance over back in August to establish this fee, and it has good recitals to it. That is the purpose of rehabilitation and construction of the present and future public water and sewer utilities in the city. A little heartburn on sole purpose is funding capital improvements, but it's related to water and sewer infrastructure. And the purpose of rehabilitation construction for present and future water and utilities in the city. Now, there are 2 AG opinions that we previously told you about. For the, am I echoing?
Go ahead.
That we previously told you about that disallowed those fees. They disallowed them because the fees were for either police service, and they said so in their fees. They charged a fee in the water bill for police service, and they charged a fee in the water bill for fire service. 2 different opinions. One, the last one by Greg Abbott in 2003. You are not doing that, and that is very, very good. You are tagging it to your water utility service. So I'm going to ask you a rhetorical question here. Is the fee used to cover the expenses of providing utility service for which customers are being billed?
Yes.
How? What's it going to be used for? Because I'm building a case here, because this is being videoed. As I complain about my short chair, but yes.
Can you restate the question, Counselor?
The fee, all right, is the fee going to be used to cover the expenses of providing utility service for which customers are being billed? It's a $10 a month water fee on your water bill for, at least according to your
It's going to be...
It's an infrastructure fee to rehab the existing delivery systems so that we can continue to deliver the water and take the waste away.
All right. Now the water code says, or the water code gives you authority to fix the overall revenue of, in this case, the Utility Enterprise Fund, which is underwater, to fix the revenue to permit the utility a reasonable opportunity to earn a reasonable return on its invested capital. In other words, the money you've put in the ground on the pipes and the wells and the treatment plants. Return on its invested capital used and useful in rendering service to the public. You're rendering a service to the public. You're providing water and wastewater over and above its reasonable and necessary operating expenses, and to preserve the financial integrity of the utility. So this red proves you need the fee to preserve the financial integrity of the enterprise fund, and the utility service. So you can do it through a fee. And we can massage the ordinance a little bit, quote this water code section, spoof it up, and you should be fine. I will point out there's another alternative, and that's the Local Government Code 552, improvements to water and sewer systems in certain municipalities. And just like a road improvement fee, it's by the front foot. And you can charge 9/10 of the cost of the improvement that you want to make. Don't know that it fits as well here as just a general fee.
Well, there is another alternative, and I think we discussed it. Rather than doing just $10 fee, we could change the base fee by increasing the base fee $10. You achieve the same thing, but you don't have to do this gymnastics.
True.
I disagree with that, because you think you increase your $10 fee, and first thing you got to do is explain to everybody why in the heck you raised my fee up. And then you're dumping it straight into the bank, bottom line of the bank account, rather than setting it aside for specific utility infrastructure fee.
It still goes into Fund 300.
Yeah, it does.
But in that theory, Rick, couldn't we spend it on whatever?
You could then use it to increase wages instead of putting it directly into infrastructure.
You can use it for anything. You can go
Right.
buy a new truck.
Yeah.
Well, I am and of course, I don't have a vote in this, guys. But I'm from sitting in the position that if I'm going to have to explain to somebody why I'm jacking up the water bill, I can point to this and say, this is like our road use fee. It's free and clear, and what's the big fancy word? Transparent. And I think that's the big thing.
We're trying to put it in as much of a lockbox as we can to infrastructure. And I'm not opposed to that. I'm just saying that there was another alternative that we did investigate.
And if we got pushed into that, we could use it.
Right. But, Grady's indicating that we do see a path to put it in a fee rather than dumping it into the base cost. Correct?
Yes. Much like your road fee, where the health and safety code, I can give you the reference number, but expressly authorizes municipalities to charge a fee, and that fee is based on the heavy garbage trucks burning up the asphalt or concrete in the city. So yes, you can do a road fee. Yes, you're street legal on your road fee. Now we're tying it to the water code, and no pun intended on street legal, but man, I'm really going today. Now on the utility fee, we can tie it to the water code. And capital expenditures is a form of expense in providing the utility service. So we'll jazz up the whereas paragraphs, and you mostly have it. I mean, you're 99% there. For the rehabilitation construction of the fee. I know you put it in there as the sole purpose of funding capital improvements. I don't know if you want that in there. But I'm not going to play lawyer in a public meeting at the lectern either. So we'll work it up. And
as long as you provide us the other, whatever recommended language you have and what that would open it up to. Like I said, council wanted this locked away where it couldn't be used for wages, it couldn't be used for pickups, tools, whatever. We want it for pipes in the ground or pumps or whatever.
Right.
I just want to tie a capital expenditure, because, I mean, usually you have two budgets, and I'm going to get wonky accounting. You've got a capital budget, and you've got your regular operating budget. And sometimes they're combined. I just want to be able to tie a capital expenditure, pipes in the ground, is an expense of providing a utility service for the city. And it is, because the water don't flow there otherwise.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, because David, you're pretty adamant on wanting to try to keep
Yeah,
it.
I wanted to keep it for two
Dedicated.
reasons. One, I think we had a public hearing, and we had a lot of discussion from residents about what the fee should be, what it was going to be used for. And
Emily was there; she remembers.
And one of my comments was, I want this to be something that they know where it's going. It's transparent. It's designated, meaning it's water and sewer. And when we looked at the numbers 2 years ago, we realized we had to make some adjustments in both our water fees and are taking them up gradually. And some people say it's faster than they would like, but looking at the cost of what our deliveries are, we're starting to get into the black, I think, in the next year or two.
Next year.
And then the infrastructure was a separate part, and that's why we called it infrastructure fee. So to me, this does both things. It allows us to raise the revenue in a transparent way. We've had some comments on where to start, and I think we settled on $10 based on public input. And so if you can craft the ordinance, I think that would meet at least the request
So
I had.
Here's the Miranda warning.
Uh-huh.
Anybody with $300 can file a lawsuit. Call it
Yeah.
a holy water tax.
Let me make sure I understand then that you are telling us that you can massage the ordinance that we had sent to you prior, clean up the language, make sure it's locked in as best we can, and then resubmit it to us.
Yes.
In next month?
End of this week.
All right. Well, we're not going to meet next week, so that'll be fine. Yeah, there you go. So with that, I'm done. Okay.
All right.
Council, thank you very much. No more input for Grady. Then Grady, we thank you very much for that, and then we'll be seeing you in a second. Council, that's a big deal to me, and I'm very happy to hear that. That's our Grady Randall from Randall Law Office giving us some really good news. Okay, item number 6, discussion and consideration regarding rules and regulations for use of city parks and public grounds. I think Colleen had some requests to try to put some rules in place, and I'm going to let you get up and explain it.
Yes, sir. So we currently have a code of ordinance that covers a lot of our rental properties, our facilities, our swimming pool, kayaks, and things of those nature. It's my desire now, as our parks are becoming more used, heavily used, not only by residents but non-residents as well, folks that don't necessarily know what our rules and policies are or what we would like them to be. Because we do have few parks, we really need to be diligent and intentful with how we maintain them and what our rules are. So my request tonight is for discussion, and I believe, Nick, we did send that out, right, Courtney, as far as the suggested items that we would like to include as far as not allowed. This is something, first of all, I just want to let you know that our staff did discuss this in our mayor's directors meeting. Chief has had the opportunity to weigh in on his opinion on this as well. Again, tonight it's just discussion. This is not a final say at all, and we can still manipulate this to whatever we need it to be. But the items not allowed, obviously littering, that is already in the provisions. It's already one of our codes, non-littering. But as we go through this list, I want you to realize the end intent here is that we would like to produce a sign to place in each of our parks that includes these items, and that they are punishable by penalty that is already in our ordinance. I'm not asking to create a new penalty here. It's already in it, and it's at the bottom of that list. But these are the items that we would like to include on that sign. So littering, inflatable bounce houses, trains, etc. I believe Rick had a question on that. He said, can someone get a permit to be able to have those in the parks? And the answer is no. We don't allow that in our parks or our rental areas at all. Now, city events, we do. That's different. And that does specify on this list. They also are not allowed to have livestock or petting zoos, generators, glass containers, piñatas, confetti, rice, birdseed, paint, powder, liquid, aerosol. I bring that one up in particular because 2 weeks ago we had some park goers that decided to paint out there, and they painted our gazebo structure and our picnic tables and the ground. And we have no recourse because we didn't have any guidelines to go by. Fireworks, fire pits, portable grills, open flame other than city designated grills. At 3 of our pavilions in the parks, we have city designated grills. Those are there. They can use those. They can have open flames in those. We are talking about, we don't want people to bring in a fire pit. We don't want them to bring in a grill. What happens when they do? They have to take it home, and they dump all the ashes on the ground and now have made a mess and or started a fire. So moving on, also amplification systems. Our parks are a little bit unique. They're surrounded by homes. We're not Houston. We don't have a lot of space between our parkland and where our residents live. So we want to be considerate of our residents. I'm sure, Kurt, you don't want big loud party sounds and speakers going off across the street from you. So this is an effort to control some of that. Also, motorized and non-motorized scooters, bikes, skates, etc. on the AstroTurf grass and non-designated areas. I'm referring to our trail system. So the trail around the lake, no bicycles, no side-by-sides, no electric scooters. The new trail that's coming in, it's a multi-use trail. They can use it on those. Those will be designated. We're talking about non-designated areas and the AstroTurf. I also believe Rick made a comment on that. He was questioning about, well, what about with a medical exemption? Well, absolutely. Medical exemption is the exception in that regard. But we have a lot of folks that come through on electric scooters, and that tears up that AstroTurf and starts ripping the seams. So we want to dissuade people from doing that. Also, pop-up tents and canopies. That's in here because what happens when folks put up pop-up tents in a very condensed area, and there's other park goers, and a big wind gust comes through, that tent goes flying, and now you have a safety issue and concern. Again, we don't have large open park land. It's very condensed. There's a lot of children playing around in those areas. So these are safety precautions. Camping, overnight camping in our parks. Dogs off leash other than in the dog park. And then also the park hours 6 to 11. That's already posted in the ordinance. Those are the hours. But again, this is something that we would also include on the sign. Again, all of these, it doesn't apply to the city-sponsored events. Why? Because we are controlling what happens. We are cleaning it up. We are taking safety precautions in those regards. Any questions or discussion on those items?
I'm thankful this is coming up, mainly because of the party that occurred a couple weeks ago. I spent a decent amount of time picking up trash, and one thing I don't see on there, water balloons. I picked up a lot of water balloons, and those are just frustrating because they're so hard to clean up, and they can endanger animals and kids, and so I don't know if that's something you want to add on there, but I think it'd be helpful. I'm thankful for this list. I think it's something we should absolutely do. Thank you. Thank you for coming up with it.
You're welcome.
I do have a couple things that Number one, I said they're going to be hard to enforce, which is going to be the piñatas and the confetti. And the reason I bring that up is, so during the school carnival, and they're selling confetti eggs, and the kid runs across the street into the park, and he pelts his friend, do we want our PD writing them a $500 ticket? And, you know, I'm old and cranky, so I don't have friends, but you younger people, would you want to be accosted at the park, at the baseball game, or at the swim meet because some parent got a $500 ticket for having a piñata? So those are the things that I'm going to bring up as your place for life. Yes, it's a pain for our parks, but do we want to deal with that issue? Because I've seen what happens when we go to zero tolerance on dogs and whatnot, and the residents lose their mind.
And I believe, would this be up to the discretion of the officer at that time, whether to give a warning and say, hey, you can't do it, put your piñata away? If they... So, and then the fine is up to $500, so it could be something...
Well, we saw how well that worked with the garbages, and that's why council had to come back and put in a tiered system.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you that unless you want to see that $500 ticket, we either change this to put in a tiered system, or we don't include those items, because otherwise the judge is going to hand out a $500 ticket.
Well, I think part of this is the kind of discussion we might want to have and put in the ordinance, because some of these are already ordinances that we just either have and maybe don't enforce. But I think the main takeaway I have is if we post this on a sign, we've taken a major step towards enforcing it. It may not require...
It's more of a deterrent.
Yes. Thank you. That was the word.
To inform the public of, hey, these things are not allowable in our parks. And 99% will comply. There will be those that don't. And Chief and I have discussed, I mean, it is going to be difficult, nor do we really expect the officers to drive by every party, pull out their checklist. Okay, no piñatas, good. No paint, good. No, it's not those small things. However, if they do go over there and they see that they're violating some of the bigger things, and then they happen to see the other things, then the list gets longer. But I don't believe that it is our intent to really police every party that's out there. It is really more for information to the public that these items are not allowed in our park. And if we can control 98% of the groups that come out there and they become a partner in keeping our parks clean, then we've done a good job in the process. It's never going to be perfect. There's going to be those groups that do that. And no, certainly we don't feel like we need to have somebody out there with binoculars and writing tickets all the time. We don't. That's not where we're going with this.
And Rick, to your point, confetti is considered littering, so it's already in the code. I mean,
but the people are going to they're not going to consider that littering.
They don't.
They're
they don't.
talking about throwing the wrapper from the candy bar or whatever.
Or the hot dog. Yeah, I would concur with that. I would like to say, you brought something up at the beginning of this, saying we want to post a sign up, which would include these things on the sign, and that's because they're tied to an ordinance then, is that correct?
That is correct, but then also listing the penalty on there that they could be fined.
So, but again, if I were going out there to have a party with my grandkids, for instance, it was somebody's birthday, we might hang a piñata, not thinking anything about it, not thinking there was anything wrong, because we've always had fun with piñatas, and we know not to put the kind of little toys and stuff in it because they'd get out there. But that would then educate me, which could go a long way to me doing that in my backyard rather than in the park. Is that what I'm sensing one of the goals you're trying to accomplish here?
Correct.
So I think educational opportunities here abound. I think that's the purpose of this in my mind. Is that kind of correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well,
I think your next step is going to be do a mock-up? Because I think with the number of things you're listing on this, the lettering is either very small or that sign is very, very large.
Correct.
And, so, is there any way you could cut this list in half, the important ones that we generally see, just so you could put the lettering a little bit bigger? I don't know how often we've seen livestock and petting zoos show up.
We do get requests, believe it or not, often. We do.
As long as they ask for, I'm not so worried about it.
Yeah.
And I agree with that.
The question I have is, are they on the leash?
Usually ponies are, yes.
So where are we here? We've heard the suggested updates to the Park 94.
I have a question before we move on. Two things. One was, thank you for explaining the difference of why the city would be allowed versus somebody else. Because, initially reading this, that was the first thing that came to mind. Was these are all the things that the city does, every single party. But you make a really good point that it is a controlled environment, that we are making sure that it's cleaned up. Your staff does an amazing, amazing job doing that. So thank you for clarifying that. The other question I was going to ask was, as far as the parks go, does that include the pool? Okay. So
yes.
In that situation, let's say swim team, we use canopies. We also use a grill. I think it's the city grill.
That is a city grill. So that is a permitted event. And when you guys are utilizing those tents, y'all are already educated and instructed that they have to be secured. So those are already in place as far as safety measures.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have audience comment?
Well, when we say secured, it's usually like you have to put a waiter on it, or you need to tie it down, and if it's not happening, that's something that does need to be happening moving forward. Yeah, it only takes a wind gust 1 second to rip one of those tents and injure someone. So, yeah.
All right. Any other council input or comment?
Okay, my thing on the piñatas is someone's going to come along and say we're discriminating against them.
Against who?
Okay.
The Swede guy down the street that puts piñatas up?
Historically, it's mainly a Hispanic thing.
From
okay.
Ecuador. So
and I'm just saying there's a good chance of it.
And
like
for
Grady said, $300
$300
Miranda, you can file a lawsuit.
If you have $300. So, Council, I think you can clearly see why we brought this to you as a discussion item as opposed to an ordinance. What we're looking at from you right now is looking at all the bullets. We're looking for you to add, subtract, modify, change any or all of these to your liking, because quite frankly, this is your park, right? So if we can get to a point where you're comfortable with what's listed here, that's when we would come to you at the next meeting with an ordinance that would codify these with a penalty provision in there. Rick and I talked about this earlier, and 94.99, which already exists within the park section of the code, that's boilerplate language that exists 9 other times in our code book. Okay, it's just a penalty provision that says $500 unless it's fire safety, public health, sanitation, in which it can be up to $2,000. If you guys have heartburn with the $500 amount, we can absolutely modify that. If you have any problems with any of the things that are listed here or the way they're described, we can modify that. It is true that some of these are already addressed in other sections of the code, littering, dogs off the leash, fireworks, for example. In those cases, we'll simply cross-reference the section of the code book that addresses those things. So if somebody does go out and pop fireworks, well, we have an ordinance for that lives somewhere else in the code book that has its own penalty provision in it. So really what we're asking you for tonight is feedback, and if we're not ready yet to give some of that feedback, if you want to marinate on it a little bit, that's fine too. We just want to make sure that we're very deliberate about what we can issue citations on, because ultimately it is true that an officer can go out and issue a citation for any of these, and ultimately when they do, then it's in the court.
Yeah.
Then it's in the court. And so we want to make that clear as well.
I'm a little bit concerned about the same issue that Rick brought up so eloquently. Is I could see a 40-foot sign out there to get all this on. So I'm concerned about that. I would ask you to look at that to sort of lay it out, see what you can condense, et cetera, before we go on for this. Maybe submit that for council via Nick. So as far as I'm concerned, we're done discussing unless you have any further input, Colleen, at this point.
No, sir, other than once a decision is made and we do settle and agree on the same goal here, Cameron and I will get together to educate the public. We will certainly utilize our media sources to get that information out. We can probably also create a QR code, right, Cameron?
Ooh,
yeah, for the signs. So there are ways that we can actually minimize the footprint of a sign out there, but still educate the public.
All right. With that, I'm going to move on. Thank you very much, Colleen. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
And I think education is the big deal here, and I like it. Item number 7, discussion and consideration regarding political signs. If you'll notice in your packet, this item was requested by the mayor because I can't stand political signs and the way they're being abused, and I consider abused in our city. Apparently, and I've read the First Amendment, and I read it again tonight 3 times. I even put it up on a big screen, Rick, so I could see the whole thing. And it never said anything about yard signs that I could find. And I used to be proud of City Meadows Place. People voluntarily followed our sign ordinance. Put 1 sign in the yard, 2 on the corner. And out here on during election cycle, the berm would be covered with election signs. There'd be 1 per candidate or 1 per issue. 1 pro, 1 against, for, etc. And it used to look representative of a nice city. I like that. Now it's gone from classy to trashy. And I really I just don't like it. I think it's poor. It gets us into these sign wars within the city.
What are you requesting, Charlie?
And my question is going to be this. To our legal counsel. Since everybody's convinced me, including Austin, that we can't limit very much the legal signs in yards without.
Well, once again, are you talking political signs or are you talking
bear with me.
All yard signs?
Just bear with me. That I've backed off of that, Rick, to one issue. And that is political signs out here on election day or election week or starting early voting. We had signs of different sizes. We have 14 of the same sign right in a row. And they start splattering all over up and down the street and everywhere else. That's city property. My question is, can we put some restrictions on and the area that we allow those signage?
Remember that we are a polling location as well.
Yes, we are a polling location, and we want to remain one.
Democracy is messy. The answer is no.
Not at all. Just clear the 100 feet, and that's all.
If you want to declare what I call the grassy knoll a right-of-way, then you can control your right-of-way, but that means no signs, period.
Right. So, and that's why I was wondering. So we can't go out there like Colleen did with her seeds and rope off an area and say, seeds in this area, so don't mow it. We can't put that up and go, no.
No, you're a polling place. They get to harass you up to whatever the
100 feet.
100 feet.
100 feet.
100 feet.
You got to run the
And I will
gauntlet.
say polling judges do a pretty good job of that. And if it's inside that 100 feet, they deal with it quickly, effectively, and efficiently. And if not, Tia gets after them. So, all right, well, Council, I promise you it'll be another couple, 3, 4 months before I gripe about this issue again. Yeah, you'll hear from me in March.
But you can still try.
I will borrow that from my own heart that democracy is messy when it comes to political signs. And I'll quit wasting our time because I feel better now.
You paid for it, so.
Item number 8. This is a council-generated item. Discussion consideration regarding travel, training, including annual travel budget for city's TML representative, etc. I want to say, first of all, there is not a problem. We're not having any abuses. There hadn't been anything going on. But I will say that in this discussion, Council, I've come up and heard questions by and about and from staff. So I'm going to turn this over to our city administrator to start the lead off and get council talking about it. 'Cause I don't care.
Okay. No. I'd like to pass this off to our alderman, who I think would do an excellent job at framing this issue for everyone.
So I had heard Kelly was going to ask for this. She was sick at the last meeting, so I asked for it to be put on at the request of Terry Henley, who is our TML rep. We set a budget of $1,250. He ended up spending $1,515.62 on his travel to TML. I think personally that was the most expensive I've seen hotels at a conference in a the rooms were pricey up there in Dallas. I don't know if that's indicative of going forward and we're going to need to adjust all the budgets, or if that's just Dallas being Dallas.
It was Texas OU weekend.
It was Texas OU weekend, which may have had an impact on us. Because of that, I don't necessarily have a problem making the adjustment for this event. And we may end up having to look at the budgets going forward if TML continues to hold our conferences in locations that are a little bit more expensive. I would say this was 30% more than I've seen in San Antonio. And I'd much rather go to San Antonio than Dallas. Beyond that, I think Terry was asking for additional funds because he's got another event he needs to go to. Do we have a rough number on what that would be?
I think he goes to, it's the regional meeting. It's usually not too far, and I think he just spends one night in the hotel.
Is that the one down in Galveston?
I think it's in the Woodlands or somewhere usually.
Oh, that's right. They did move it, didn't they?
Yeah, and that one is under 500.
So we'd be looking at adjusting the budget to 2,000 would be the request.
I think that would cover it.
Does anybody else have any comments or questions?
Yes, let's make it 2,000 and move on.
Okay.
He represents us well. He has
the other question is, do we want to continue having a TML rep and sending Terry to these things to represent us, knowing that he has a lot of connections and he gives us access to some things that we probably won't have once he's done.
He is a good mouthpiece for the city when he's at these events. I think it's worth every penny.
Yeah, I would concur. I think being a past president of TML carries an enormous extra amount of credential that allows him that access that we have enjoyed. And I would say the different people I've met and have talked to, I think Terry's been a good representation for us at TML, for the city of Meadows. And I think going forward, we may when he stops doing that, we'll reevaluate. But I think it's probably good for us to send somebody to TML, non-council, on a regular basis, just to have that presence if we see that it pans out. So I think I concur with the 2,000 for this. I think the part of this was the budget was cut from 2,500 down to 1,250 because Anna Marie and Nick looked at what the actual expenses were for a couple of years and said, hey, we're not going to fund something that is not being spent. Right. I think the situation changed with other funding Terry had through the risk pool, and so he's looking to the city to pick up that again. So I think that's a lot of discussion there.
And I think, so for me, I agree. I think Terry's doing a great job. I think that we should raise it. But two things. One, I think that anybody in this position should come to council and maybe give an update of what they've done all year. You know, give us an update from the meetings. What are some things, some takeaways? How did you represent Meadows, and what can we do, whatever the issue is, to move forward? And I'm okay with keeping Terry there because I think he's doing a great job. But past that, when he is ready to step down, I would like to see other people take advantage of this position. You know, maybe an EDC member or a board member would like to go and check out TML and see what it's like to attend the conference and meet other people from cities. Because I'll tell you, when I went to Austin for leadership, that was when I decided I wanted to run for council. So to be put in those positions, it might change people's mind to maybe run for council or get more involved in the city as well. So I can see a lot of potential in this position, but I am okay with raising it. But I would like to get some sort of an update of, you know, what happened.
Well, we can always tell him he can have his check after we get an update. We can do that.
You guys really want to give Terry a mic?
But I think that's a great idea. I take your comments seriously there on getting a report. I hadn't thought about it, and I'll talk to Terry about that. I think Terry would love to come up and at least submit a report.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair for council to ask him, is to submit a report.
Before we leave this item and take action, the next TML meeting, obviously October 2024. When do we make our hotel reservations? Is it going to be September?
No, we book hotels in like July.
Yeah, this budget year. Yeah.
Okay.
But they don't pay until we actually go. We book them. We pay the registration in July.
Understand that. I was just deciding whether we need to discuss it now or at budget session. Obviously, this one is in Houston. Mm-hmm. Historically, we have not paid for hotels when it's in Houston. That's a pain, I can tell you that. Driving to the George R. Brown in rush hour traffic is not fun. And would council consider we change the budget policy to fund hotel rooms even when they're in Houston?
I would suggest that we create a policy. We don't currently have a training and travel policy. And so that's what we've talked about. If council can give us some guidance today of what they would like for hotels and stuff, then staff can create a policy to bring back for approval.
I will send you the county's policy.
Okay.
And as a good go-by, it kind of sets hotel rates based on the state rates for general travel. And then if you stay in the conference hotel at the conference rate, even if that breaks the normal per diem for hotels, because you're at that conference, it still covers that. So,
yeah, I think we have a couple other ones we can look at as well. But if you send us that, staff can put something together.
Yeah, this is something staff's been kicking around is, we have a new personnel policy that we worked hard on, but what we can do is insert a travel policy within that. We really don't have anything. And I want to emphasize that we're not bringing this up because there's been any level of abuse. We're doing fine. It's just, it would be nice for us to have some parameters, to have a policy. There's two main things I'd like to get feedback from you guys on tonight, so we're not spinning our wheels as a staff and bringing something out to you guys that you don't want. But first one, obviously, is that hotel idea. There's a lot of cities that'll have that radius where you have to be outside of that radius in order to stay in a hotel. We could do that, but we want to feel how you guys feel about that before we go that route. If the idea would be to stay at a hotel downtown Houston when the conference is in Houston, then that pretty much kills the idea of a radius, I think.
Right.
And so, first of all, what do y'all think about that?
I'd like to see how much it's going to cost, because I want council to look at how many dollars they're getting ready to say, yeah, okay, because their neighbors are going to read what goes on, and when they're saying, well, you know, Mary, you're spending $459 to stay in a hotel downtown Houston? I don't think so, not again. I mean, that's what we're going to be faced with.
Right.
And you know what? And they're right. Now, at the same token, I hate going to Houston. I hate driving down there. But now I've got this thing on my phone that I can just push, and it says Lyft, and people just show up and haul me down. It's amazing. But that's still $100 by the time you can do it all. So, I mean, so I'd like to see a little bit of a cost analysis. But Rick, I would say at this point, I'm inclined to say to council, if they want to go downtown, you alone, not you and your spouse,
Right.
but you alone go down and stay at a hotel. If you take your spouse, you pay for them. But I would like to see a little bit of a cost analysis on that, just so we can be looking at it on the front. And I think times have changed. It's a miserable, miserable life to go down there and focus that.
Well, I mean, if TML was held at the new epicenter, I would never ask for this, because that's a 15-minute drive. It's just a brutal 45 minutes if there's no accidents, and an hour and a half if there is.
I got it. No, I understand. I think everybody here is in the same boat. So are we at the point where we...
So I will move to amend the TML rep travel budget from $1,250 to $2,000 for the current budget year.
I'll second that.
And do you guys want a BA at the next meeting to change the budget to reflect that?
That's fine. Yeah.
Yes. All right, so we'll have that staff prepare that for the next meeting. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. With that, we are voting on with a nomination by Rick. Did anybody second? Kurt, you seconded it to bump it up to $2,000. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we're going to move it.
I'm sorry,
saving
Mayor.
money right out of the bat, aren't we?
Just give me 15 seconds. This will save us a lot of headache. Let me just ask this question real quick.
Sure.
We have nothing in the policy. How do you guys feel about per diems?
I hate them, but I don't get a vote.
So are you talking the dollar amount or whether we do them?
Both.
Are we still at 25? Or
We're not. We're not at anything. We don't have per diems here.
No, we don't have any set, that's why we're saying we need a policy. We don't have any set limits for.
So are the employees on their own for meals?
No, we're
Employees,
covering meals right now.
we
minus
just
alcohol.
Direct expense?
They just submit receipts for their dinner and we pay it out.
There's no limits.
But there's been no abuse.
Correct. There has been no abuse of the policy, but if we're creating a policy, we would like to go ahead and get some of these things in place.
So we're getting a $12 lunch, and we're going to say, well, let's make X dollars.
So as a taxpayer, I don't like the county's policy because they basically force us to take the full per diem. So when I go to a conference, most of the meals are paid for. I'm gone for 3 days. I'll usually put in for 1 day's worth of per diem. They will reject it and make me take all 3 days. I don't think I want to see that.
No.
I think a fair number for a per diem, and if the resident or the employee doesn't spend it because he goes to McDonald's for 3 meals a day, I really don't care.
I don't either.
If they pocket a little bit of money doing that, I think a reasonable per diem, I think the county's at $37 now. It might be a little bit more. I'll have to look.
Is that per meal?
Per day.
Per
Per
day.
day? For 3 meals?
Yeah, it's 3 meals. And
See, y'all are spending too much for a
That's
meal.
3 McDonald's meals.
Yeah, that's 3 McDonald's meals.
pretty much. So it might actually be more, but your travel days, you only get like 2/3 of it. And that's part of the travel policy I'll be sending you.
Okay.
So Rick's suggesting that he is approving of a per diem. Does the rest of the council feel that way?
What the max is.
Sorry, just go with expenses and have a control of what's reasonable. Because I think the per diems start getting complex, and we end up with having maybe more of the city's revenue spent on
Tracking.
tracking it and the time to do it. To me, since there's been no abuse, we have a city administrator that we trust. I think he and Anne Marie will look at that and say, hey, you've got a budget. This is reasonable. And there are times when, if we're having to take somebody out or having a lunch, I think it's reasonable to say, okay, it's going to be this. So I don't think we need a per diem. I've seen them both ways. I've had to live on a per diem, and sometimes it was good, sometimes it wasn't. So I would say let's not complicate it with a per diem. That's just my opinion.
And I'm good with direct expense too.
Okay. Do we want to set a limit for the day or
You probably
meal?
want to set a max of some sort, yeah.
for the meals? Okay.
So cities will reimburse up to X number of dollars per day for food.
I don't necessarily mind if they go to Saltgrass for an evening dinner, but maybe not Perry's or such.
Yes.
Then we can create
Or
something.
Fleming's.
We'll create something that sets
Fleming's
a
is good.
maximum
Yeah.
for meals.
It's probably, it is, yeah, we've been doing it for a long time that way, and I don't sense any,
Yeah, we haven't had issues.
yeah.
So.
I mean, we do a pretty good job of making sure we keep alcohol off the bill, so.
Okay, so we're done with that. Is that correct? Did we vote?
Well, we'll bring you a policy.
Okay. Item number 9, discussion consideration reschedule the regular city council meeting to December 19th, 2023 due to the Christmas holiday. Do I have a motion to move the meeting?
So,
Motion by Tia,
second.
second by Kurt. All in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion? Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries unanimously. We are at the consent agenda. Motion to approve. Second by Tia. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, good. Moving on to item F, audience comments for items not on the agenda. If anybody would like to come up and visit with council for 3 minutes, please feel free to do so at this time. Anybody want to come up and talk to council? Going once. Emily, you sure? Okay. Item 2, or gone. Moving on to item G. We're now going to recess this meeting. We're going to be going into executive session. I don't know when we'll be back. You're free to wait here if you want. Council, we're going to meet in about 4 minutes. That'll give us time to stop at the bathroom. All right, it is 9:13. Is this okay? Cameron waved his magic sign. Okay, council, it's 9:14 now, and we are going to reconvene the regular session. We're moving on to item 1, discuss and take appropriate action regarding Baroom's request to terminate the development agreement with the city. we have decided not to terminate the agreement with the city, and in fact have a motion in front that we're going to propose. I think, David, you're going to propose it?
Yes. So part of what we talked about was the fact that we felt that with another year still on there, we understand that the business is changing and things are doing, but we still feel like there is a contract here, and we're discussing it with our lawyer. We have another year's worth of revenue that we have in our agreement, $10,000 a month or $120,000. We all agreed that, understanding the situation, we would have a settlement for less than that, and the number we came up with tonight was $80,000. So that's kind of where we want to communicate that to you and to the Vroom Company. And with that, we'll open it up to comments, discussion, questions.
Council, anybody else on this? Otherwise, Patrick, please step up and visit with us. Get pretty close to it if you would.
There we go. All right. Well, thank you for at least coming back, and I enjoyed the meeting. By the way, we were just discussing as the only privately owned public park operator in Meadows Place. I was really fascinated with the discussion on rules for parks. I was thinking if we were going to still be operating the park, it'd be great. Could we incorporate whatever rules you come up with into the park? But obviously, I'll take that offer back to our company. I mean, we just understanding our rationale. The permit is a specific use permit, and our use has ended, and therefore there's really no use for the permit. It makes me wonder if we stay in this agreement, does it prevent you from permitting another use? Like, if I have a permit on the place, do I control what goes on in the place, even though I don't have a lease? So there are some oddities about it. I believe the agreement, and every bit of it is, whoever was here with Vroom and did the deal, there was probably an error, because I don't know why you would ever, go into an agreement that wasn't coterminous or would have wording that said like the earlier of, lease end or that date. And so, that's an unfortunate thing about the deal. The other thing about it that in researching the whole thing, and we had the discussion about the rebate of monthly taxes that was supposed to be happening, and the city was just supposed to monthly, send us those sales tax reimbursements for taxes generated on that property, which would include the Advanced Auto Parts store, the Napa store, and I've been trying to pull together some figures on what their sales were, and since 2018, like, there was quite a bit of sales, like over $1 million a year of sales coming out of those. The Saddle Shop and its related businesses, I think, are probably pretty big revenue streams. And so, if we're going to stay in this agreement, we would really feel the need to address that and go back and reconcile. And I believe that the agreement already, it talks about, really in the case where if sales tax being generated there exceeded $10,000 a month, we would actually stop payment. So we would get a reimbursement. We were supposed to get a reimbursement no matter what it was. But in the event it exceeded $10,000 for 3 months, it directs us that we would stop payment until it caught back up, or, and if it always exceeded it, I suppose, we never would have paid. And I don't know, where that ends up. I have a feeling we're going to do a public records request and, find out what were the sales tax, that were generated in the time period of this agreement. And we'll have to, so in the answer to settling for $80,000, we're going to need the answers on what was that sales tax revenue that we should have received reimbursement. So
we understand, Patrick, and I will say that I'm sitting here with clear conscience that we didn't forget to reimburse. Okay, and when you do come forth with an open records request for that information, I think you'll be surprised at the figures that you see, and know again that City of Meadows Place has met its obligations. So with that,
does that mean that you were paying those?
Do what?
Does that mean you were paying?
I'm going to kick this to legal counsel. We can't disclose, and a public record to us probably will come back with no information because it's state information. There's negotiations that we can do, but we'll need to fully vet that going forward.
Yeah. Yeah, and I realize.
We understand what you're saying. That's why we came back at 80,000 instead of the 120 and just whatever. You talk to your side, continue to communicate through Nick, and we'll see where this goes.
I realize I need to make a request to the state, and,
right.
And I've already got the all the tax, sales tax, registration numbers that are
right.
affiliated with that address, and I'll probably make the request both here and at the state. I don't even know when you get your sales tax revenue from the state, if it even shows what it's broken down into or not. But anyway, so again, I appreciate consideration of this, and in the short time I've been involved, I've enjoyed learning about the city, and even enjoyed this meeting. So, anyway, so thank you very much. And
request is really that we're looking out, as you're looking out for Vroom and the shareholders of Vroom, we're looking out for the citizens of Meadows Place. And
I understand.
We have an agreement that says it's another year, and I realize it didn't coincide with the lease, which I think we kind of all scratch our heads. But Vroom was the one who signed it 2 years ago in 2011, and so twice. I think Texas Auto maybe did the first time, and Vroom the second time. Texas Dragon, both were Vroom. Anyway, I do think that we're trying to do what's best for our citizens, and we think that a negotiation is in line with that versus just accepting you to walk away. So I appreciate you being here tonight.
And if you're going to put in a public information request with City of Meadows Place, do it with Courtney Rutherford, our city secretary.
okay.
Okay, that's who handles that for us.
And Courtney will be here tomorrow if I come in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. She may come in a little bit late, but I said, yeah, you'll be here at 6:30 in the morning. And
pretty much any of the clerks should be able to give you the form, and then once you fill the form out, it'll be given to Courtney.
Or just send her an email.
Our form is on the website, or you can simply send me an email with what you're requesting.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. We're easy to work with, and I will have to say that since you've taken over, we have appreciated working with Vroom on things, whereas much more so than before.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's good to hear.
And with that, I'm going to call this meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.